It's the Hume Football League and Phil Bouffler, who is out on the block getting things done. He's got plenty of time to get things done because there's no Hume football this weekend. The league bye for the school holidays. But he's with me to talk about all things Hume. G'day, Phil. How you going?
Yeah, morning, Wayne. Windy day in the Riverina. Nice and sunny. So, yeah, probably get up to about 17 degrees later on in the day.
Oh, I tell you what, that'd be nice to dry the ground out, wouldn't it?
That's good. So, back spraying again. Had a big day a couple of days ago. Bloke over with the track machine and spread all my urea. So, that's been done. So, I just want a little bit of rain to wash that in. But, yeah, things are looking not too bad. A lot of crops have suffered a bit, but a bit of dry weather and a bit of urea will hopefully fix that.
Yeah, I reckon so. I'm getting around the regions. We actually spoke to Michael McCormack, the federal member for Riverina, and he was up a bit further north from your part of the world, up at West Wyalong, when he was calling in. But he did make mention of Lockhart region and just how wet it has been, and folk with not getting onto the paddocks, some people not even having seeded paddocks. So very interesting comment that is.
Yeah, that's true. There's been a bit, a reasonable amount of people have re-sown paddocks and things like that. So, really, we're not complaining too much along the coast and up north and that sort of thing. Inland, Mudgee around there, they've had a hell of a doing. So we're certainly mindful that we're not complaining too much. There's people a lot worse than us.
Yeah, certainly are. There's not flooding and those sorts of things at this stage. Well, let's go through and have a look at the flooding and the football context. And Osborne, they keep flooding up wins, 12-10-82 over Holbrook at 9-7-61. Probably the closest I think anybody's got to Osborne.
Yeah, it was a pretty close game. I went over there, a huge crowd. So ended up going to 3 games on the weekend. So this was my final destination. Had a look at the new complex over at Osborne, at Holbrook, and it's fantastic. It's massive and just fantastic, and it's well done to them. And everyone who contributed, it was just fantastic. So big crowd, massive crowd. Holbrook would have fancied their chances, but once again, Osborne were just a little bit too strong.
Went away in the third quarter. It was 6-5 to 6-4 at half time. And then in that third quarter, they kicked 3-3 to just 3 points from Holbrook. Ryan Collins got on top and kicked 5, and that made the difference with Duncan McMaster and Carl Schmerzer both having very good games.
They played well, but once again, Osborne, they only need a quarter to get on top, and then off they go. So that's what happened the third quarter. 1 point at half time. Looked like a close game, then Osborne just blew them away in the third quarter.
Yeah, Colby Hennessy booted 3 and tried hard for the opposition. Hamish McKinlay was okay, but gee, the depth is the key here. Macaulay Armstrong, Clancy Galvin got a couple apiece. Rava and Ryan and Watson added scores too, so they just got the depth in their side to do the job in that second half. When the whips are cracking, the Osborne boys get going. What about this one? The whips were cracking down there at Henty. It was a magnificent game between them and the CDHBU Power. It went down to the wire. The locals had that new club room and had a 1-point victory.
Great way to celebrate. So 1-point victory. Close all day. CDHBU got on top for a little while, and then Henty ended up winning. So, probably kicked a little bit straighter was the difference there, Wayne.
It was. If you looked at it, 3-9 at half-time to the Power to 4-2, you know that you've done the work, you've had the play, you've had the forward thrust, you've even had the inside 50s, your midfield's probably on top, but you just aren't on top on the scoreboard, and pressure on that part of the world is what wins matches, and it was counted against the Power in the end, and I think it'll count significantly against them in their finals aspirations. Tom Newton with 3 for the winners, Shannon Turley. We relied upon to boot just the 2, which I think is a significant thing here, that if Turley kicks goals, they generally get close, Henty, but this time they've won the match, and here's just a couple of goals, a good effort. Tyson Muller and Joshua Klemke amongst the better players there. Other matches, Phil, that were played, and round Walbundry Waller have got up and beaten Gindera in a magnificent win at Walbundry. This is a very important win for the Giants and their finals aspirations, and Gindera, we've said they're good, but so are the Giants.
They're almost the form side in the competition, the Giants, at the moment. They've had 3 or 4 really good wins on the trot. A little bit iffy, sort of halfway through the first round, up and down a little bit. But once again, 15-7, very straight kicking. And to beat Gindera, that's a huge win. And at the Hume League headquarters at Walbundry. So, that was a great win. Gindera would be disappointed with that.
I think they are, and they really were a chance of setting up that finals position. They still can, but it puts them still within reach for Henty or somebody to come along and snatch it at the end of the season. Chris Dark, the captain of the boys from the Orange Men, he booted 3. Mark Hayden, he was 3 goals. Sam Herdzig and Nathan Wardius, both a couple apiece, and Chris Dark was magnificent, led from the front. And Tommy Plunkett to Charlie Williams and Hayden Wardius, Harry Krotzenberger, and Nathan Wattis, the usual suspects, seem to be in the better players for those giants of the competition. And on the other side, Ginger and Name, Daniel Middleton and Brown, Nathan Chamings, and also Lawrence and Middleton all got a couple apiece. And the other match that was played, Murray Magpies, a thrilling match, have got up and beaten Culcairn. Great win by the Murray Magpies, 10-7 to Culcairn, 8-9.
Good game, and they were close all day. Persistence pays off, and well done to them.
And well done, because they've been a struggling side, as we know, but it's their second win of the season, and this is really good signs that you've been talking them up. I know that they haven't got juniors and so forth, but it's good to see them back with a win and closing in on, say, a Culcairn who they wouldn't have beaten in a long time.
That's true, and also, as I said before, with the juniors, they've got the Oz kick up and going again. And so we need to try and get their 14s and 17s going. And, as I've always said, you need a base of junior players to be successful as a senior club.
Yeah, well, they got Haynes and Welch were very good for them, and he kicked 2, Haynes, Retallick a couple. Cassidy with 3 for the Murray Magpies. So Culcairn's goal kicking and Haynes and Retallick, just not the big scores that they need from their side. And Joe Spendier and other good players like Marcus Roberts need to be getting more out of them, the Lions, and that's, I think, their season in tatters for mine. What about how long? Thrashed Lockhart, 17-19 to 4-6. But the Lockhart faithful keep turning up there at the Recreation Reserve, and I think they'd be happy with the fact that they're putting a team on the park each week. Their reserves are going okay again. It's good stuff for the Lockhart people. This
is just a year of consolidation, Wayne, really, for Lockhart. I keep saying it. This is just, they're on the park, and that's the main thing about this. So they're going to get a few hidings along the way, but they're not dropping their head. The coach is doing a great job in there, developing a lot of the young players, and I'm hearing stories about a lot of these young kids who are playing, are just really enjoying learning under Nathan McPherson, or Poke as he's known, so he's doing a great job. He's just exactly the right person for what Lockhart need. From all reports, they've got a coach signed for next year and a couple of players, so they kept all these young fellas who have had a year of experience under their belt. They'll be much better for it next year. They'll be a different side next year.
Well, they will be. Clint Brunnemeyer was very good for how long with 5, and Tyson Logie with 4, and Baker was their better player. But Lockhart named Raphael Willersdorf, Luke Argus, Ryan Shaw, Keenan Flood, Angus Grigg and Abraham Wooden. And Argus kicked a couple of goals for them on the day, and as you mentioned, they're certainly putting in the effort, and they're seeing some good results at the club. And when you sort of consider down through the grades, they've been able to come up with some pretty good junior kids over the time. The kids were not anything disgraced in the 17s against How Long, who are a very good 17 side, and in the 14s they've been putting on a really good side onto the park this year and trying very hard to get going with that win over How Long by 5 goals for Lockhart. There's some good signs for the future. Having a look as we go to the final match in senior football from last week in round 12 action, and it was a magnificent performance by the Billabong Crows. 18-11, 119 have beaten Brockburham Saints 12-10, 82. Phil Bouffler, I don't know that we could say we saw that coming, but I think we've been making the comment that the Crows have got a good defensive unit, and on this occasion they got their goal scoring going.
I think I said last week, Wayne, their centre half-back and full-back are 2 of the better defenders in the league, the Billabong Crows. This is arguably the upset of the round. It's probably, and we were talking about the ladder positions last week, and we did make mention that, if the BB Saints were a little bit careful, they could be the side that drops out. So, they can't lose games like this. The Crows have sort of struggled on and off through the year, but that's their best win for the season by country mile. So that's a hell of a win for them at Oakland.
And they don't beat Brockburham very often either. It's been I know that they got into a position for the first time in making finals before the curtailing of all of that. But this is a club that's been much maligned since they come in from the old Corrine League for 14 years. So for them to have a win over the Brockburham Saints is a fantastic effort for their club. Flanagan with 6. O'Riordan with 6. They were the leaders, and Flanagan and O'Riordan the better players. Christopher Willett, Dom Bunton, Tim Austin, as you mentioned, and Logan Kerr, those big defenders, very good paddle and talent with 3. And Mack and Hegney and Wilson, Alex Wilson, were the ones that got named for the BB Saints. You mentioned the ladder. Let's have a look at it, Phil. This is in senior football. Osborne haven't been headed. 2 games clear. Premiership favouritism sits right with them.
That's true, Wayne. So they're the firm raging favourites pretty much. Holbrook, the next closest on second, they've beaten them twice. So, it was just, looked at seriously at half-time, it could have gone either way, but Osborne just flexed their muscles and on they went. So they've got some very good players, Holbrook, so they'd be disappointed they weren't a bit closer than that.
They will be, and I think here's the interesting thing. Holbrook in second, 10 and 2, Howlong 9 and 3. They look really safe now for finals. From then on, Gindera can be beaten. We saw that on the weekend, 7 and 5. Brock Burham in trouble, 7 and 5. Ramwell Bundry on a roll, 7 and 5. Look like they could get up to 4th even the way they're playing. Calcan, Billabong Crows, 5 and 7. Then you think about Henty and CBHBU, 4 and 8. I think there's still mathematically chances. Murray Magpies, great for them, and Lockhart at the bottom of the ladder.
I think the ladder's starting to show a little bit of shape in that, and there might be an odd change here or there positionally, but 2 games. The next couple of weeks will be important, Wayne, to just sort this right out. But it's just starting to take a little bit of shape. There's probably the 3 top sides. I reckon they're pretty firm in where they'll finish, and the bottom 3 or 4 they'll have to just negotiate the next few weeks.
Yeah, the Crows, I reckon, are an enigma here. On their day, I think they could actually beat Calcan. And maybe if they've beaten the Brock Burham Saints, are the Saints, is there something just in the water out there? Is it a COVID water or something like that? Is it just their big name players or injuries?
They've had some players out at times, Wayne, and every club's been affected, but I've seen them play a couple of times and they've had quite a few players out. So, but that's an excuse for them on the day. But, other clubs are dealing with it as well. So it just makes it a little bit hard. It's a funny sort of thing, as a generalisation. Since COVID's come in, before COVID, people were pretty much committed. But all of a sudden, now you'll hear 2 or 3 players are missing because they've gone to Melbourne for an engagement party or they've done something or, there's a holiday or something like that. So people are sort of not as maybe dedicated or something. I'm just not sure what it is.
Yeah, it is an interesting one. Reserve grade has Holbrook on top at 10 and 2 and Osborne at 10 and 2. Howlong 10 and 2 and Gindera at 10 and 2. What a top 4 you've got in the reserves.
Top 4's good in the reserves. So they're getting settled in and stuff like that. So, yeah, there won't be a lot of change.
And what about the under-17s? Randwell, Bundry, Waller lead the way. They're on top with 9 and Zip, and Osborne 9 and Zip. Those 2 look like the 2 starring sides, and maybe will play against one another. Henty, Howlong, Holbrook, Brock Burham, they look pretty assured. Lockhart, still a little chance in 7th, maybe.
12. They're a game behind, Wayne. The top 2 or 3 that will look, let's be honest, the top 2 are settled. Probably 3 and 4, so just maybe 5, 6, 7 there. The 3 positions up for grabs probably.
Under 14s have Henty on top. It's great to see 10 and 1. Lockhart 10 and 1. Really good stuff. Holbrook 9 and 2. Brock Burham 8 and 3. Howlong 6 and 5. Calcan 5 and 5. And Ramwell Bundry Waller 5 and 6. Look like the sides that are in that competition.
Same for all grades, Wayne. It's been interesting. There's 2 or 3 sides that are sort of dominating each competition. And yet, and then there's this logjam from probably 4 to 7 or 4 to 8. So it's a good for the league like that. It's nice and healthy, and it gives people hope that they can still get in. So it's a good football down the road to still be played this year.
I think so, and I think interesting Osborne being a real dominator in 17s, reserves, or thirds if you like, seconds and firsts. But in that junior grade in the 14s down near the bottom, which is probably a future thing to start to think about. They've got to keep developing players, and they certainly do that as they get into thirds and so forth. Well, it's a good time to talk to you, a good time to let you get back to do some farming. The sun's shining, the wind's blowing, drying things out in the Riverina.
No worries. Thanks, Wayne. I'm going to make a trip down to Yass and catch up with 3 of my 4 grandchildren, so I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, Wayne.